Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a scented candle from start to finish. This is a super easy project, so if you're looking to learn a new skill, this is a great place to start. But even if you are a seasoned candle maker, I'll be going over some helpful tips and tricks that you can hopefully apply to your craft. Let's get to it. Here are the materials I'll be working with today. Coconut Apricot Wax, fragrance oil, studio tumbler jars, LX18 wicks, wick bars, wick stickers, warning labels, large pouring pitcher, digital thermometer, soap cutter, spatula, and a scale. Here are some additional items you'll need: double boiler, paper towels, isopropyl alcohol, scissors or wick trimmer, measuring cup for fragrance oil, and gloves. Let's get to it. Before getting started, it's always good to make sure your space is clean and clear. I'm going to set everything aside and wipe down my surface with some rubbing alcohol and a paper towel. Now to prepare the jars. You can wash your jars with soap and water, but I'm just going to use rubbing alcohol again to make sure the jars are clean. I'll be making 2 candles today using the studio tumbler jars. If you'll be making a larger batch of candles, you can do this step ahead and store them for later. On to wicks. Candle wicks come in a variety of styles and sizes. The one you'll want to choose for your candle will largely depend on the specific type of wax you're using and the diameter of your container. Here, I'll be using LX18 wicks in the Coconut Apricot Wax. To see wick recommendations for different combinations of jars and waxes, you can use our wick guide linked in the description. To adhere the wicks to the inside of the jars, I'll be using wick stickers. Securing your wicks is an important step because it prevents the wick from floating in melted wax as the candle reaches the end of its burn. If the wick becomes dislodged and travels to one side of the jar, this could cause some soot buildup and overheating. Once the jars are fully prepped, it's time to weigh and melt the wax. Candle wax comes in different forms, such as flakes, pastilles, or blocks, and the coconut apricot wax comes in a soft slab. To measure out the wax, just place the slab on a clean work surface or cutting board and cut it into chunks. You can use gloves for this part if you'd like. Then, place your pouring pitcher on your scale and tare it. This sets the scale to 0 and will only weigh the wax that is added. Once the scale reads 16 ounces, you can remove the pitcher and place it into your double boiler, with the heat set to medium-high, and the wax will begin to melt. Using a double boiler to melt candle wax is one of the most common methods, and it's basically just a pot filled with water placed on a heat source. Side note, this particular wax I'm using also comes in a microwavable bag, so that is another option if you don't have a double boiler. While the wax is melting, you can weigh out your fragrance oil. Measuring by weight and not volume is the most accurate method, as fragrance oils can vary in density. I'll be using Caribbean teakwood here, but you can use whichever you prefer. Place a glass or fragrance-safe container on your scale, and again be sure to tare it. Pour in 1.6 ounces of fragrance. This is about a 10% fragrance load, which is on the higher end. To calculate different fragrance loads, you can use this formula. Once your melted wax reaches 185 degrees Fahrenheit, it's time to add your fragrance. We typically recommend 185 degrees as the optimal temperature for fragrance and wax to bind well. Stir until the fragrance is fully incorporated and then remove the wax from heat. Allow the wax to cool to its recommended pouring temperature. For this wax, it's around 170 degrees Fahrenheit. When the wax reaches 170 degrees, carefully pour it into the first jar up to the fill line, and then repeat for the other. If your container does not have a clear fill line, you can pour the candles on a scale to ensure accuracy. You'll just want to be sure not to overfill the candles. This is especially important if you'll be using a lid. Set your wicks with wick bars and make sure they are centered. Allow the candles to cool, preferably in a temperature-controlled space. This will help them cool evenly. Once the candles have completely cooled, trim the wick to about 1/4 inch using wick trimmers or scissors. Then place a warning label on the bottom of the jars. This step is especially important if you'll be gifting or selling the candles. For the strongest hot throw, we recommend allowing the candles to cure for a day or 2 before burning. And that's it! Your scented candles are ready to enjoy. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below or check out more resources at CandleScience.com.